Welcome to the video lecture. I'm G. Kavita, working as an assistant professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at Bharat Institute of Higher Education and Research, Chennai. The course which is going to be covered in this video lecture is Operating System. The course code is U18 PCCS 404. The topics that is going to be covered in this video lecture is Introduction, Generations, and Types of Operating Systems. First, we should know what is meant by operating system. Operating system is a program that acts as an intermediate between the user of the computer and the hardware of the computer. The main goals of the operating systems are it should execute the user program and make solving the user program easier. It should make the computer system convenient for the user to use. It should use the computer hardware in an efficient manner. The computer system structure is divided into four components. The components are hardware, operating system, application programs, and users. Hardware provides the basic computing resource. In other words, the physical thing that can able to physically touch and feel that will comes under hardware. Examples of hardware are CPU, memory, input output devices which we are using. Everything will comes under hardware. The next component is operating system. It is used to control and coordinate the use of hardware among various applications and user. In other words, it is going to act as a intermediate between the user and the hardware. The examples of operating systems are our day-to-day life. We are using Windows operating system, Linux operating system. All those things will come under operating system example. Next comes application programs. Application programs is the way in which the system resources are used to solve the computing problem of the users. The examples of application programs are word process, compilers, web browser, database systems, video games, whatever apps we are installing that will come under application programs. Next comes the fourth component of the computer system, that is user. The user can be of people or machine or any other computers. So the four components of the computer system is diagrammatically represented here. Here the user will be at one end. The system and application programs will be consisting of compiler, assembler, text editors, database systems, etc. Should falls on operating system, which again relies on computer hardware. Another definition for operating system is OS will act as a resource allocator and also it acts as a control program. Why it is called as resource allocator? Because it is going to manage all the resources and it is going to do with the resource management. It decides the conflicting request for efficient and fair resource use. It also acts as a control program because it controls the execution of program in order to prevent the error and improper usage of computer. So far, whatever definition we have said is, it's not a complete right definition because there is no universally accepted definition for operating system. Everything a vendor ships when you order an operating system is a good approximation, but it varies widely. Means the definition of operating system as a good operating system or a better operating system or best operating system will depend upon the vendor. Next, the important component of the operating system is kernel. Kernel is a program that is running at all times on the computer. Everything else will be called as system program or application program. A system program means the program that is built inside the operating system will be called as system program. The program for applications which we are using is called as application program. So three elements of an operating system is, first one is user interface. User interface is the part of operating system with which you are going to interface with the a computer hardware. Kernel, as already we see that it is the important part and it is also called as heart or core of the operating system. It will interact with the BIOS at one end and a user interface at the other end. Next is file management system. It organizes and manages the file. Entire thing about the file will be recorded in the file management system. Next comes the origin of computers. Charles Babbage is called as father of digital computer, and he was the first to design first digital computer. And this computer is completely a mechanical design. It is slow and also unreliable in nature. For knowing with the history of operating system, we should always know the history and development of generations of various computer systems because the history of operating system is directly linked with the history of computer systems. So next comes generation of computers. So far they have a fourth generation of computers there, and of course fifth generation is also developing. First we'll be starting with first generation. The first generation of computer is between 1945 to 1955. Here, the technology used are vacuum tubes. In this type of generation, there was no operating system present. The languages used in this generation is machine language. So the coding, everything have been done with the machine language. Digital computers was not constructed till the Second World War. At that time, calculation are done with the engines with mechanical relays. At that time, only this mechanical relay engine have been developed. However, this mechanical relay are very slow. The mechanical components are replaced with the electronic components called vacuum tubes. This figure shows the sample vacuum tubes. In this generation, the programming is performed with machine language. uh, the drawback of machine language is it is difficult for the programmers to learn, and the drawback of the first generation system is it is completely rely on single user machine. It is completely unfriendly in nature, slow, unreliable. This is an example of first generation computer. The computer is going to occupy for the entire room. This entire room is going to occupy with a single computer. It is very huge in size. It will be consisting of a large number of wires and batch process systems are processing. So that is the drawback of this first generation. Next comes the second generation computers. The second generation was between 1955 to 1965. The technologies used in the second generation is transistor. In this generation, computers, the operating system have been introduced. At that time, the operating system was built in the language called assembly language and high level language. A mixture of assembly and high level languages are being used. Around 1955, transistors are introduced, and these transistors have been placed inside the computers. Once the transistors are introduced, the cost and the size of the computer is reduced to large, a notable size. At that time, only the operating system was first designed, and they have used assembly language and the high level languages like Fortran and COBOL have been used. Compared to the first generation computers, this generation computers have make the programming so simple, so the programmer's job is also simplified. This is a sample second generation computer. Next comes third generation. Third generation was in between 1965 to end of 1980s. In this generation, the technology used is integrated circuits. So IC have come into existence on this third generation. In this type of computers, operating system is present. The languages which we are using is completely high level language used. In the third generation, ICs have been introduced and also LSIC have been circulator. LSIC stands for large scale integrated circuits, and also VLSI designs. Very large scale integrated circuit design have also been implemented. ICs combine these electronic components into small silicon chip. That chip is going to be made with the quartz. So again, the size of the computer is reduced to even much smaller. Here the packing density is high because the number of components fabricated in an IC is increased. Until 1960s, the computers are broadly classified into two types. One is scientific computers, next one is commercial computers. But after existence of this integrated chips, this thing is reduced to a single computer. IBM have combined the scientific computers and commercial computers to a single computer system. Here, the operating systems are allowed the machines to run at different applications at the same time. Here, the multi-programming concepts have been introduced. So, this is an example of third generation computers. In the movies and all, we'll be seeing with that computers in the past time. Next, fourth generation computer. These computers have been involved with the 1980 to 90, but till now we are using with this fourth generation computers only. Here we are using with the technology LSI. There the operating system is present, and we are using with the high level languages. So till present we are using with fourth generation computers. So this is using with the VLSI design. Again, the size is so minute. It is again reduced to miniaturization. Billions of circuits have been established for particular cubic foot. The density, packing density have been drastically increased. LAN, WAN, that is local area networks, wide area networks, and networking communication have been established in the fourth generation network. So the World Wide Web and Internet have been established this in the fourth generation. So this VLSI chips, the topology have been given as example. So we'll be having a short summary of this generation of computers. The first generation computers deals with vacuum tubes, and here the machine languages is used. The second generation deals with transistor, where the assembly language is used. The third generation deals with the integrated chips, where high level languages have been used. The fourth generation have been dealt with LSI, LAN, WAN, Internet, World Wide Web, everything. Until now, we are using with this fourth generation technology, and fifth generation will be is evolving and will be released soon. Operating system was introduced from the second generation. So there are different types of operating system. Some of them are, first is multi-user operating system. As the name says that here two or more users work with the same computer at the same time. So it is called as multi-user operating system. Next is multitasking operating system. Here two or more processor runs at the same time. So it helps the user to perform multitask the same computer system at the same time. Next is multi-threading operating system. Here two or more parts of the same process will be running at the same time. So these are some of the types of operating system. Next comes operating system that is used with the personal computers. Most commonly used operating systems are Microsoft Windows operating system, Macintosh OS, established for Apple computers, Linux operating system. It is more secure, and different versions of this MS Windows operating systems are home professional version of Windows, that is non-professional version. It includes Windows 95, Windows 98, Windows Me. Next comes professional version of Windows, that is Windows NT and Windows 2000. Windows XP operating system is the first operating system to merge the home version with professional version. So after that, whatever operating system come into existence will be consist of both versions. Next come disk operating system, that is DOS screen. It was the first PC operating system come into existence. It is not a multitasking operating system. Only one program can be executed at a time. A command line interface is used for this DOS operating system. It doesn't support with any GUI, that is a graphical user interface is not available. Early versions of Windows sat on the top of this DOS, and it is used to communicate with the BIOS screen. Windows XP OS communicates directly with the BIOS but allows the command to be entered via the command prompt. Next comes file systems. Files means it is a collection of information that should be treated with a single unit. So the similar information or the information that should be treated with a single unit will be called as file. Usually a file will be given with a name so that it will be easy for the human user to find and use it later. The file system will keep track of where the file is actually present in the disk. The disk can be of hard disk or floppy disk or optical disk, whatever disk we are using. It is divided into subfolders, or it is also called as directory. The top level of the folder is called as root. The root is generally subdivided into subfolders or directories. Any folder or subfolder that can contain files or any other folders. A fully qualified file name should have a complete path to the file. Here, the example of file name is given. In this example, C is the drive where the file is stored. Courses is the uh, what is that? It is a subfolder, and 061 is again a folder. Inside that, CIT 141 is again a folder. Inside that, we are getting the PPT. File name is chapter 1, and the type of file is PowerPoint presentation. So the extension used is PPT. So with the file name, you can able to locate what type of file it is. Some of the registered file types in Windows are with the file extension. You can able to find the what type of file it is, the program associated to it. For example, if the extension is .doc or .docx means it is associated with Word file, that is Microsoft Word. If the extension is .xls or .xlsx, it is associated with MS Excel file. If the extension is .txt file, then it is associated with Notepad. If the extension is .html, then it is associated with Internet Explorer. So this is how the Windows knows what to do when you double click a file, whether what type of program it is and how to open the program. If the extension is missing in a file, the Windows can't able to open the particular file. Next is different attributes of files. These are some of the attributes. First is read-only attribute. As the name itself says that this type of attribute file can able to view, can able to copy it, but it cannot be deleted or it cannot be changed because it is only read-only. Next is hidden file. Hidden file means it is not displayed in the normal list of files. Next is system files. This file is identified to a particular system and it should not be mixed with other files. It's just archive files. Usually the archive files are used for backup in order to preserve the content and in order to reduce the size of the storage. The examples of archive files are your zip files and RAR files. There are two types of DOS commands. One is internal command, next one is external command. Internal commands are resident in the main kernel file. uh, Example of this internal command is cmd.exe. So these are the command which is going to have a direct connection with the kernel. External commands are little programs, which will be separate from the main kernel. So it is important to learn with the DOS commands for executing it properly. So this is a sample command prompt. This is how command prompt will be there. For Windows XP, I have shown the file, and DOS is supporting the wildcard characters. Wildcard characters mean it is used to affect multiple files with a single command. Here, a question mark is a sample wildcard character, and star is a sample wildcard character. If you are giving with a question mark means, for example, the example is given: copy C drive temp notes double question mark. This means that the word file that begins with notes, and it is having two question marks. That means notes and two more characters will be directly copied. That means notes 01, notes AB, or notes 05. Notes and two characters subset by the notes will be copied directly. And I will be having another example here. Copy C temp notes star. Here this says that copy all the files with the name notes with any extension, that is notes.pdf or notes.document, whatever file it is. If the name is notes, it will be copying it. The example says that star.document, that means it is going to copy all the files with the document extension, whatever the file name. That's not issue, whatever the name was given to the file. But if it is a document file of doc type, now it will automatically copy to the location, temporary location of C drive. So these are the examples. Next comes DOS commands. So these are the sample DOS commands. MD is used for making a directory, RD for removing a directory or removing the entire directory tree, and DIR is used for displaying the content of a directory, and DEL for deleting the files, copy for making a copy of a file in a different folder, Xcopy for making a flexible copy command used for copying the large files, that is a large group of files. Move for moving a file from one folder to another folder. RAM, that is rename, it's for a renaming of a files. And attribute for displaying the file attribute or for setting the file attribute. Format for formatting disk. CHK DSK for testing the file system on a disk, and as reporting the status. Date and time for displaying the date and time of the PC. Type for displaying the content of a text file. With this, I'll wind up the video lecture. Thank you.